showing out, making moves, no doubt. FFA pride, it's what we're all about. From classroom dreams to real world flair, we got the stories you won't find anywhere. Beyond the jacket where the stories unfold, voices of the future, fearless and bold. Tune in now, let the passion ignite. It's more than a jacket, it's a way of life. Beyond the jacket where passion meets purpose.
Welcome back to Beyond the Jacket, the podcast where we explore the stories of FFA members who are redefining what it means to wear the blue corduroy. I'm your host, Paige Cruz, and today's guest embodies compassion, leadership, and the power of agriculture to make a difference far beyond the farm. Joining us is Macy Philipp, a senior from Iowa whose supervised agriculture experience is all about working with horses and helping people connect with them. With more than 20 horses at the facility where she works, Macy spends her days caring for, training, teaching others how to ride responsibly. What makes her project truly special is her work with individuals with special needs, using horses to build confidence, trust, and joy.
We'll talk about how Macy's passion for equine science became a platform for education, inclusion, and community, and how she's using her FFA experience to shape her future. So Macy, let's go ahead and get right into it. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, like what part of Iowa are you from, and a little bit of what your FFA chapter is like?
Well, hello everyone. I'm Macy Philipp. I currently reside in the northeast part of Iowa, and I live currently in a small town that really only embodies agriculture. We have a bunch of small farmers on our farm, and you can kind of see fields for as far as the eye can see. We have a lot more fields here than people, actually. And I think we really embody our own agricultural experiences, at least in the town I come from. We really appreciate our farmers and really want them to ensure that they keep getting growing our agricultural industry. Within my FFA chapter, we actually have part of one of the largest FFA chapters in the state of Iowa. We have over 200 active FFA members. Yeah, a lot of members.
Whoa.
Yeah. So we kind of go through all different sides of where we compete. We really knock it out in the park in our career development events and also knock it out in our leadership development events. And I think something that we really want to push out is our community involvement. We love getting involved with our community and ensuring that we can help our farmers in any way we can. Actually, a couple weeks ago, we just did our local Feed the Farmer and pushed out over 200 buckets to over, I think it was 30 farms within our county. So yeah, our chapter's pretty large, and we really want to have community outreach with as many members as we possibly can, whether they're competing or helping with our chapter involvement. We really want to ensure that all members are being involved.
That's
Wow.
awesome. It's crazy to have such like the numbers there. Macy, for reference, I'm from Florida.
Hmm.
And Lacey is from Ohio, right?
Yes.
I'm not getting that wrong.
Yes.
Let's make sure. Um, however, it's not the same everywhere. FFA is not the same depending on what
Mm-mm.
state you're in, and 200 active members actually blows my mind. I'm jealous. That's phenomenal. On a little side note, with that service project you engaged in, does your chapter participate in the national chapter awards, like at national convention or at your state convention, as far as your three areas of like I'm drawing a blank at the moment, however, but strengthening agriculture, building communities,
Hmm.
and growing leaders. The National Chapter Award. Do you guys participate in that? Got it. Sorry.
So we do some of that. I don't think we've done it at the state level. We've put it into AET, but I don't think we've ever really gone further from it. We are trying to get to where we can kind of get to that point eventually, but a lot of our members actually do proficiency awards through the state level, and a couple of them will go to the national level since we have such a large involvement, and so many members have so many different SAEs that can kind of hit each area of that proficiency award.
With that many proficiencies, I know you must have a wonderful SAE, which we touched on it in our introduction. Why don't you give us a brief overview of what your SAE is, Macy?
So my supervised agricultural experience is within the equine industry. I work on a local farm that is about 5 minutes away from where I live. And actually, when I first started here, I was a lesson kid myself. I started in about seventh grade, and I took lessons for about a year, and then I started wanting to get more involved with this specific barn. I started doing chores, and I started teaching a little bit of lessons just to kind of dip my toes in the water. And then the years went on, I learned that I loved teaching so much, and I built my way up to I'm actually quite a large instructor there. Whether I need to teach on Saturdays, I will pick up any shift I can just because I love teaching the kids. So, what a normal day kind of typically looks for me with my SAE is if I'm going out to teach a lesson, which I'm actually doing later tonight, I'm going to go out 30 minutes before. I am going to go grab the horse I'm going to go teach with. I do a quick check over them, making sure they're sound, they don't have any cuts, making sure there's just nothing that is out of the ordinary for this horse. And then we get to the lesson part. So I think something that kind of makes our barn different from other barns is we really want kids to know each step into the process. So I'll teach kids how to properly brush their horse, what to look for when they're brushing, how to pick their horse's hooves, how to tack up, how to make sure that they have the proper tack. And then we get to the riding part. We kind of want our kids knowing each step that goes into working with horses just because it's a long process and we don't want them thinking that they just show up and the horse is tacked. That's one of the biggest things that
Yeah.
we want to teach is just because it takes so much work and time and effort into it. We don't want a kid jumping into the equine world thinking it's just going to be a piece of cake.
That's really smart. I like that you guys do that because that like adds a whole other factor of actually teaching. Like, because I mean, a lot of kids can ride a horse and be like, "Oh my God, I want a horse. This is so fun." And it's like, well, there's a lot of work that goes to from point A to point P. You can't just get thrown on the horse and that's as easy as it is. I actually love hearing this too because fun fact. So if you like don't know who the heck I am, Macy, that's totally fine. But I have cows and I post online with like social media. And so I'm known as being like the crazy cow lady, the cow woman. But I was first a horse girl, and I have a similar little like scenario where I grew up two houses down from a big like horse farm, and I actually learned how to ride horses because my neighbor was super nice and allowed me to come learn because she had like a huge run and a big like 200 by 100 like covered arena. And so I was a huge horse girl before I was a cowgirl actually.
I think at every point, a little girl wants to be a
A horse
cowgirl or
girl.
a horse
Hmm.
girl.
Yeah.
And I know I did riding lessons the whole
Mhm.
90. My mom said I had to stay in it for a year and then I could start showing horses, and I made it just shy of a year and decided I didn't want to do it anymore and started showing cows. So I guess I've dabbled in both. What are the most important lessons you try to install in your riders, Macy?
So some of the most important lessons I think that personally I've learned that I want to pass on to my lesson kids is learning the hard work that goes into um, owning your own horse. And I think learning the value of hard work can help them in any industry or as they go on with life. They know they have to work towards a certain goal. So sometimes when I will have a rider come to me for the first time, most kids are there just to kind of learn and know the horse. They have asked their parents for Christmas for horseback riding lessons. But some kids will come to me and tell me they want to learn how to barrel race or they want to eventually show. So some of their goals are certain and different, but it takes hard work to kind of get to where they want to go. And I think that's really what I want to instill in the kids is because that's going to help them for years to come.
That's really cool. I always like the thing I love about horses is that they can like almost teach you. Like I remember that even though it was so long ago when I was learning to ride, I was learning on such like a seasoned horse that it was
Hmm.
pretty much like she almost would kind of remind me of things. So, with getting to work with them so hands-on, hold on. Getting to work with them so hands-on, what have you learned personally from working with these horses?
So one of my biggest lessons actually was when I got my first horse about 3 years ago. We were actually looking for a season show horse for me to show just because I was in high school and well, still currently am in high school, but I wanted to primarily have a horse that I could get on, go out and show. And when we were looking, it just happened that this little pony that I the barn owner had known her owner and she had asked if she thought anyone at our barn would want her. And she came. She was the biggest pony I've ever seen. She was huge, had really thick legs. I had told her no at first. I didn't want a pony. I wanted a horse. And all of a sudden it just worked out that we could buy this mare. And when we started learning her background, we slowly realized she wasn't as seasoned as she was made out to be. And so, learning her background, she was broken out when she was 8 years old. And then, when the first owner had gotten her, she was actually brought up here by a livestock trailer from Missouri. And that was her first time ever being put into a trailer. And then we got her, and we learned that she only had 6 months of training. And then she was sitting in a pasture for 2.5 years
Oh.
having a baby. So I kind of had to restart the horse myself completely. And the past 3 years, have grown so much, not only as a rider, but just as a teacher as well, because I've had to learn so much to teach this horse. We've run into almost any problem you could think of. The first main problem that we had to work on was her standing at a pole by herself. She would actually pull back and tell me that she was not okay with standing for more than 5 minutes if she didn't have food in front of her. So over these 3 years, she's, learned how to do that. I've taught her how to do a couple things with ranch work. She can slow down in her gaits and speed up. She's been able to actually win a couple classes against seasoned show horses. And our biggest kind of overcome right now we're working on is her fear of the trailer. She hates being in little confined spaces. But I think the biggest thing I've learned with this horse is she's pushed me to my limits. And no matter what, I've always known that she's had potential. So I think the biggest thing is learning how to see that potential in horses, even if they really give you a hard time. They always have a contribution to someone, whether that be maybe not you at the time, but maybe another little kid or person can take them and turn them into something special. And that's really what I've done for my own horse is learning to see her own potential, and now she's honestly my dream horse. I'm so glad that I kept her, even though I've thought about selling her many a times. But now we've come to a point where we're almost a great team, and now I can use her actually to teach other kids how to ride.
Oh, that's so cute. I love hearing that because I think one thing that like the biggest word and thing I think anyone needs to learn that they want if they want to get any livestock is patience.
Hmm.
Because you have to understand that this animal does not they don't under you don't speak the same language. You have to learn how to. And but the biggest question people will be like, why are your cows so friendly? Why do they trust you so much? And I'm like, because I'm patient with them. And I understand that we are not speaking the same language and they
Hmm.
have no idea what I want or what I'm trying to get them to do. And so it's allowing them that space and just having that patience with them. And so knowing that you took that horse from almost being like a regret buy of like, oh crap, to then now you're like, this is my dream horse. I
Hmm.
love her so much. And she's like my partner in crime. I love hearing that. That's so sweet.
It's the hard work and perseverance that you put in that makes your wins or your special moments that much sweeter. Like you were saying, like now you're almost perfect and it's almost your dream horse, all because of the time and the hours that you dedicated to your project. And that makes it that much more meaningful.
Hmm.
It makes the work that you put in that much better. And it's taught you so many more lessons about the industry as far as the equine industry, but also about yourself. I can attest to that with showing livestock all through high school, that I learned a lot about myself as well as the industry. And those are some priceless memories and priceless life lessons going forward. But with everything, as far as still being in high school and managing the barn and giving lessons, how do you balance the physical work of caring for the animals and teaching, as well as the relationship building part of your job? Because I remember you mentioning you worked with individuals with special needs.
Mhm. So when I'm trying to balance everything with school, I always come out to the barn with a different personality almost. I am at home when I'm there, whether it's getting my own time with my horse before a lesson or if I'm kind of going through. I know that my kids are going to ensure that they are there to work hard, especially when working with a couple lessons with those kids with special needs. They almost need that one-on-one time. They really need to. Their problem is sometimes within school, I actually work in a peer partners program within our own high school where I work with the special needs kids there. Then building connections inside school is really hard for them, so when they're with the horses, I see something kind of special starting to connect with them. The horse isn't talking to them. They're not requiring them to start a conversation, make eye contact. You kind of see this kid start to bond with the animal a lot more just because they're not expecting anything out of them. This is their time to be themselves and not being asked a million questions at school or having to work on something within their own classroom. They get to actually create a meaningful bond that's different than it is with a human. So I think really ensuring I kind of build that connection, obviously with the kid, but letting them also build a connection with the horse is important as well.
That's so cool. I love that. I've seen so many different farms and horses specifically where they have been used as therapy for
Hmm.
many different things, whether that be adults and children with any kind of disabilities. I've also seen it a lot for like army veterans or any kind of veteran who might have PTSD. I've seen a lot of that too, actually. I can't imagine that you wouldn't have something to say for this because I'm sure it's extremely meaningful, but is there anything specific that just sticks out to you for how meaningful that is to being able to see those connections between horses and maybe some kids or adults with special needs?
I think the best part is just seeing them have a friend. We actually use one of our older horses. We like to call him the grandpa of the barn just because he is now 24 and I actually started riding on him when I first got there. But his name is Zip and he is one of the sweetest horses you will ever meet. He always is there to work hard, but there's something that changes within him, and seeing that is a lot more meaningful than kind of seeing that connection with myself. I think him knowing that this kid may be, you know, a little bit different than the others, but they still need that connection all the same. But he all automatically knows that he needs to drop his head, be really nice and gentle with these kids, not really move a lot. He doesn't eat at his hay bag. He stands still, lets them love on him, and he really knows that these kids just need that time to engage with him. So he is honestly one of the best horses to use whenever we have these kids out there, just because you can see something change within him and you can kind of see his demeanor change, and he knows that he needs to build that bond with this kid to help them along.
That's so special. You have such like Macy, I haven't met you except for today, but like I can just tell you have like the sweetest, kindest soul to invest in
Thank you.
others and take your passion and grow it in a different avenue than what's typically seen. And you're testing the waters and doing the unexpected, and it makes it that much more sweeter. Like it's I just know this is gonna be so awesome. In high school, we for our national chapter application, a friend of mine, she was a vice president, and she did something called Panther Pals, where we took all of our SEC students from our high school to our ag barn, and they got to have a day at the barn. So we'd make ice cream, they would wash the calves, lead the goats, and kind of like you were saying, just that not being expected to be anything but yourself and enjoy your time doing things that you might not typically have the chance to do. And I think that's so special that FFA has provided those opportunities and that students like you get to take them a step further. So, how has this experience changed the way you see agriculture?
I think this experience has changed the way I see agriculture as knowing that everyone has a place in the industry. Before I started riding horses, I didn't really understand our own family business. We actually own one of the top 10 biggest trucking companies in Iowa. So we will push out agricultural products across the United States and ensuring that, farmers' products get to where they need to go, and we'll, you know, ship other stuff too, but it's mostly agricultural products that we're kind of pushing out. And I didn't quite understand that as a little kid, the importance of that. And I wasn't quite involved with our farming side. So getting to get into the industry in a different way has really helped me learn that there's a place for everyone. Within the equine industry, actually, I just feel more at home knowing that I have something where I can offer my own advice, and know that is kind of my expert area where I can kind of tell everyone what to do. I can teach people, but that's one way I can kind of add to the agricultural industry. And I feel like it's really just helped me know that no matter what someone is doing, they can always add to agriculture in some sort of way.
I think that's the biggest thing that like the podcast has shown too, is showing the diversity across the platform, because I think so many people have that like idea of what they think agriculture is, and realizing it can be something as niche or not. You may not think, oh, well, you're not producing anything,
Hmm.
but the way that you're being able to facilitate these moments for these people with special needs to have with these horses is monumental. And that is rooted in agriculture. And
Hmm.
it's just as purposeful as somebody who runs a grain operation and who is out there raising steers for slaughter. And so I think that's really beautiful too, to realize that there are so many different little aspects of agriculture, and there's so many different little places that you can fit in.
I'm not gonna lie, Lacey, that meant so much to me because, like, that was the goal of the podcast right there. I'm like, yes, I achieved it. Woo, let's
We did
go.
it.
Well, I mean,
Sorry.
we've been able to see so many cool things because we've been able to talk to kids who live in the city and have made, a career out of selling vegetables out of a garage. And we've talked to people who deal with hydroponics and,
Hmm.
growing such, I almost said selfish instead of,
Sea
I was
fish.
trying to say like, I was trying to say sea fish, and that's not right.
No.
Sea fish, they're all in the sea.
They're
Seafood,
all there.
I had a moment.
aquaculture, seafood.
Yeah. I had a
That's
moment.
so
It was
good.
going, and then I just ran it into the dirt with my ADHD. That sea fish stuff.
Oh, that was good.
I just will never forget her
Yes.
accent, though.
Oh,
But
yeah.
anyway, she was the sweetest. She was so cute.
Are you talking about
Yes, it's been so
Abby?
nice to make.
Yes.
Yes. It has
Oh
been
my
so nice
God.
to make the connections from across the nation with so many kids that we've never met before, but we have something in common, and it's our blue corduroy jacket, and it's
Hmm.
the fact that we are leaders and united under this one organization that we either happened upon in high school or maybe our families were in it. No matter what your journey is to get to that point, we all in some way are connected because of an organization we were in, and we decided to just take it one step further. Or maybe we were voluntold to do that too, but who knows?
Yeah.
um that being said, it's just so unique, and I've really enjoyed being able to make those connections. You've had several years to grow in your FFA journey. What is one of the most monumental moments for you?
So one of the most monumental moments, I think, in my agricultural career or FFA career would be during my sophomore year. I actually joined FFA the end of my freshman year, and going into sophomore year, we started having signups for our sub-district competition, and I saw a little competition called extemporaneous speaking and thought, hey, this one would be good to try. And I signed up for it, not quite knowing what it was at the time, but I was just so determined to try something. And I actually had gotten a local community coach. She was a past state officer for Iowa and decided she was going to offer her time to me to coach me. And I remember walking into the sub-district room my first time I'm going to ever give a speech in front of judges and thinking, there's no way I'm making it past this point. I have done all I can. I'm not going to get anywhere. And then I advanced to districts. And then I went to
Woo!
districts and I advanced to state. And then when I got to state, I remember walking in, doing my speech for state, and thinking, I made it to state. I'm not getting on stage. So only our gold ratings get on stage. And then I saw my name posted for a gold rating. And then I got on stage,
Oh,
and all of a sudden, I heard someone called for third. And the girl that was called for third was actually a state officer candidate. Once I heard her name, I'm like, there's no way. Didn't make it in the top five. There's fine. Like, And then I got state runner up. And I remember my name being called, me being given that plaque, having to shake one of the state officers' hands. I almost froze. I had no idea what to do. I was so shocked. And I walked down and my chapter's congratulating me. And I think that just really solidified am able to contribute more than just, being an active member. I can use my voice and eventually teach people stuff about the agricultural industry because I'm much more than just someone that can just be in FFA. I really want to be more involved in FFA. So the biggest pinpoint in my career was getting state runner up in extemp, and that's pushed me to ensure that I do an LDE every year from now on. And it also pushed me to run for district office and just be more involved in, not even at a state level, but actually at a national level. This past year, I applied for FFA in the USA, and actually, I'm currently a reporter for them as well. So I think that's just something, if I never did it, I don't know where I would be today.
it's
That's
always those
such
random
an
little
awesome.
things.
I
Yeah.
know, it's the domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you do a little bit and then you get hooked and then you're like, "Ooh, let me try something else." And then you're like, "Ooh, I'm hooked on that too." And I have to do so many things and you just love it. I did extemporaneous speaking as well, Macy, and very similar situation. My first year trying it, and I was like, I am in over my head. I have no idea what I'm doing. I had phenomenal individuals helping me along the way, giving me some tips and tricks. And I remember going through each level of competition and standing on that stage. And in that moment, I realized I was on my way to nationals in a couple of months, that I had won. And I was baffled. I still am baffled. Let's just be real here. I have no idea how I made it. That was by the glory of God and his grace alone.
Mm-hmm.
That I was able to do that. And just watching yourself grow through all of that, and like you said, it makes you want to do more. And I was an LD kid too. Obviously, I have a podcast. Of course, I like to talk. But that's just so special that even though we're hundreds of miles apart, we kind of have that in common.
Mm-hmm.
How has your SAE through and CDEs and LDEs and everything you've done in FFA have allowed you to prepare for life after high school?
So I think one of the biggest things that FFA as a whole has prepared me throughout or for life at a high school is actually what I wanted to do. At first, I had thought maybe about going to school to be a vet tech, and then I kind of started thinking about it. I wanted to use my voice a lot more than, just at the local level. So this next fall, in fall of 2026, I'm heading to Iowa State to double major in egg communications and egg and rural policy studies. And then after those first 4 years, I'll actually go to law school and hopefully get to kind of push out the importance of all these different egg laws to protect our farmers. I think that's one of the biggest things that really has FFA really has done for me, because I don't think I'd be using my voice to get up and go and share a speech, because before FFA I barely could look my own classmates in the eye, and now I feel like I can at least go in front of, random people now and just share my whole life story, obviously. But I am really grateful for all the opportunities that it has given me. And also, just within my SAE, doing all the LDs has helped me prepare and communicate more with my kids. Just because I feel like at first I kind of be a little bit more shy as an instructor. I'd be like, maybe this is right, we can go do this. But now I know to be comfortable where I'm at, and I'm teaching these kids their knowledge so they can pass it on as well. So just knowing that I am their, first and primary person in the equine industry, and hopefully not their last, and knowing that I can teach them accurately is the biggest thing. So really just within my whole career, just ensuring that I am going to keep advocating for agriculture for years to come, no matter where I'm at and what I'm doing. That really is the biggest thing I want to push out.
I love that you went from being a quiet, shy kid to now being able to talk to anybody, because I call that the FFA effect.
Exactly.
If you get the right instructor, like the right FFA advisor, and you are really somebody who wants to grow and like use FFA to all its benefits, it can shape you into a better, like not better, but just like a better communicator for sure.
Hmm.
Because that's something I always notice. Because as the older one on this call, I always notice how well spoken and how just more professional you guys are versus like normally when I go to I'm around teenagers, I'm terrified. I'm literally like, but FFA kids, I'm like, no, they're gonna talk to me like grown adults, and
Hmm.
it's fantastic.
It's so real. Well, before we wrap up your episode, Macy, what is one piece of advice you'd give to a younger FFA member?
I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I give to a younger FFA member is just get involved. And also enjoy your time while you're in the FFA, because as my time is coming to an end, I really still want to be involved in our alumni part of Iowa FFA. But, you know, making the memories throughout the way really has just been the biggest thing, whether it's going out for a leadership development event. And I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but a lot of freshmen are pushed to do Creed freshman year. So if your advisor tells you to do that, I would say go do it. Or if you are looking at an LDE or CD and thinking it might be fun to try, I think that's the biggest thing is don't be afraid to go try new things, because I think everyone needs to kind of dabble in certain things in FFA to know what they like to do, whether it's only fruit sales or only having community involvement or going through at the state level and helping our FFA chapters and FFA associations as a whole. So really try to get involved, enjoy your time, and ensure that you are having the best memories as you can your 4 years or 5 years in FFA.
It's
I think
definitely
that's
bittersweet. As like a recent alumni,
Hmm.
as everybody's gearing up for national convention, I can definitely say I am quite jealous. And I miss my blue jacket. But Macy, your story's a true testament to what FFA is all about. And your story reminds us that agriculture isn't just about crops or animals, it's about people and facilitating those connections and getting involved. And through your work in equine education and outreach, you're using your blue jacket to bridge that gap and showing that the lessons learned in the barn can change lives in your community, in your chapter, and in your home. So I wish you the best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
Thank you for. Oh, sorry, I'm
You're
cutting you
good.
off. You're fine. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Beyond the Jacket. Be sure to subscribe and follow along as we continue sharing stories of leadership, service, and growth in the world of agricultural education. Until next time, keep living with purpose, both inside and beyond the jacket.